The mainstream media's empire of lies is crumbling before our eyes, patriots. While The View issues a humiliating retraction about Matt Gaetz, CNN's viewership hits rock bottom. Remember when they called Trump literally Hitler? Well, now Mika and Joe are making pilgrimages to Mar-a-Lago. Even Chunk Uger is admitting the Democrats have become the party of intolerance. We've got exclusive footage of media meltdowns, shocking admissions, and the moment The View had to read their legal notice on the air. But first, let me tell you why the timing of this media implosion matters more than you think. So speaking of media lies and cover-ups, what they're not telling you about pain management is shocking. While they push their big pharma narratives, they're hiding the truth about Conolidine, a natural pain reliever that's changing lives, just like Matt Gaetz is exposing their smear campaigns. I'm exposing their pain management deception. Now, Conolidine optimizes your body's natural painkillers, providing relief without dangerous pills or side effects. It's 100% drug-free and legal worldwide. So take control of your pain at trycono.com/NNN. It's linked down below. Don't let them keep you suffering. You've got nothing to lose but your pain. Okay, thank you for our sponsors for making this show possible. So the media is in meltdown mode. There's Sunny. There's Whoopi. Yes, this is beautiful. This just literally broke a couple hours ago. The View had to read a legal notice about the fake claims made against Matt Gaetz, or he would have sued them into oblivion. He's not even attorney general yet, and they've already got them walking on eggshells. Let's listen to this.
Criminal investigation
on screen. Well done, Gaetz. Sonny, you have a legal note.
I do have a legal note. Thank you, Whoopi. Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims, quote, invented, and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism, that DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. Yeah, you're lucky you're still on the air, Whoopi. Yeah, Matt Gaetz is getting ready to step into the AG role. People are freaking out because the hammer of justice is about to fall on the deep state. We're learning now there's a workaround for the Matt Gaetz appointment. Trump could use the Federal Vacancies Reform Act of 1998 instead of the recess appointment process. Remember, the recess appointment process is what we talked about as a secret weapon where Donald Trump could basically recess both houses of Congress, and then he could get all of his appointments in without having to go through all of the attacks that they're clearly starting to initiate. The Reform Act of 1998 has also been floated to get the Panhandle Republican through a Senate where many Republicans are skeptical of the Gaetz pick. The 1998 law allows for temporary appointments, however, for any vacant positions that exist during the 60-day period beginning on the transitional presidential inauguration day. An acting officer may serve in the position for no longer than 300 days beginning on the inauguration day or the date of the vacancy. That's according to the act. Donald Trump confirming he's standing by his nomination.
Matt Gaetz. Mr. President, are you reconsidering the nomination of Matt Gaetz?
No.
Are you reconsidering? What a stupid question. And then, of course, we have Rosie O'Donnell. Oh, man, she just looks like she fell out of the back of a truck and just got dragged behind it. She just looks horrible. She is pretty livid. Look at her angry face. She's so angry that Mika and Joe went down to Mar-a-Lago.
Then you go kiss.
Let's just try to stomach this for a couple seconds if we can.
Please. So Mika and Joe went down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring. It's the last time I ever watched Morning Joe.
Okay, well, it doesn't really bother me very much that you're not going to watch Morning Joe anymore. Nobody even watches you, except in your unhinged rants when they go viral. Natalie Danielson, Legacy Media, and their lies will manipulate you to make you feel alone. Remember, you are not alone, okay? What the media wants you to believe and what the reality is. Yes, we are a united country, despite what they will tell you. Alex Finn, this is why the mainstream media is dead. People are done. They're done with the lies. They're done with the spins, done with the fake narratives. What Don Lemon did to Elon in this clip is disgusting and bizarre. This is why X is going to win. Nothing but the truth. Now, when I saw this clip, it actually came out on November. The clip was published on November 11th. This is from when Elon and Don Lemon did their interview. Remember when Don Lemon was supposed to have his own show on X? And this was like his big moment to interview Elon Musk. But instead, he completely just botched the whole interview, lost his contract, and, walked away crying. And now he's relegated to, trying to make TikTok videos for relevancy. But Brian, go vertical with this, and let's just play this clip real quick here. I think we can play it here.
I don't drink. I don't really.
Are you sober?
Almost always.
Are you
yes.
under the influence of anything?
No, I don't drink. I don't really. No.
No drink, no smoke, no nothing. I mean, you smoke pot with Rogan.
I had one puff.
Yeah.
I think anyone who smokes pot can tell I don't know how to smoke pot.
But you've admitted that you have a ketamine prescription.
Yeah.
What's that for?
Well, I mean, it's pretty private to ask somebody about a medical prescription,
You're doing it under a doctor's care, right?
Yeah. Literally a prescription from a real doctor, not like,
Yeah. But do you feel like you ever abuse it?
I don't think so. If you use too much ketamine, you can't really get work done. So I have a lot of work. So I'm typically putting in 16-hour days. That's normal for me. And it's rare for me to even take off a weekend day.
What a disgusting line of questioning from Don Lemon. That just goes to show how irrelevant this guy is. But you know what?
But
we are the new media. We have been the new media.
The mainstream media.
We have been ahead of the curve for 20 years, and the mainstream media is just trying to play catch up. So as ratings crater, Brian can go horizontal. As ratings crater, CNN is set to axe its top stars in layoffs that will see hundreds fired, according to the Daily Mail. The imploding CNN's Brian Stelter and Abby Phillip explained to viewers that tanking public trust in media isn't the fault of the media. It's your fault.
Decades. It's also, but I want to recognize that for all the flaws of the mainstream media, and we have a lot of them, it's not just the media's fault that trust has been declining for decades. It's also decades of attacks by politicians.
That is the main issue, is that it could be that the Washington Post is endorsing candidates, or it could be that there are millions of voters who believe lying politicians who tell them lies. Knowing that they are. I mean, that could be the problem too.
Oh, it's the politicians telling you lies, or maybe it's actually the media telling you lies. This is CNN. They have been lying to us for 20 years or longer. And that media trust has been declining rapidly, especially when Donald Trump got into office. Now, the reason I started this channel is because I started this channel back in 2012 because I didn't like what I saw on the mainstream media. Even back then, when I saw what they did to Ron Paul. And I'm like, you know what? I'm never going to let that happen again. So we started Next News Network because we're going to push back on those narratives. We've been pushing back on them ever since. And the media trust has been in a steady decline ever since. And now you have got online YouTube, you've got X, you've got, all these different platforms where you can broadcast a message to push back against these people. These people are irrelevant. They're irrelevant. Like Mark Dice always says, he gets more views in his kitchen than CNN does in a day. Nobody watches CNN. Their ratings are in the garbage. Continuing on with this. Okay. Democrat strategists, listen to this. A Democrat strategist said on CNN, the U.S. military is going to open fire. See, this is another example of the media's lies. A Democrat strategist just said on CNN, the U.S. military is going to open fire on American citizens while carrying out Donald Trump's mass deportations. Wow.
When the military opens, I live next to these people. I can tell you they are women and they are children. Are there terrorists among them? I don't know. But I can tell you that
neither does the government.
But I can tell you, but let me tell, okay, but what I'm telling you right now, practically speaking, is that there will be people, American citizens, who will prevent these little kids from being dragged out of these shelters. There are. And what's going to happen to these people? What is going to happen to the military when the military opens fire on us?
But no one's. Can you say? We're way down a rabbit hole here.
Yeah, we are way down a rabbit hole. But that's the narrative that they're continuing to push. Okay? And let's see, we got this here. More media lies. Democrat Debbie Wasserman Schultz is claiming that Tulsi Gabbard's a Russian asset. That's like the default. If it goes against any of their narratives, it's obviously Russian disinformation, or they work for Russia. It's so embarrassing, and it's so tired. The American people see right through it. It is, again, why nobody trusts the media anymore.
Question, I think
Tulsi Gabbard is someone who has met with war criminals, violated the Department of State's guidance, and secretly, clandestinely went to Syria and met with Assad, who gassed and attacked his own people with chemical weapons. She's considered to be essentially, by most assessments, a Russian asset, and would be the most.
Is that how you
dangerous...
consider her? Is that what you consider her?
Oh yes, there's no question.
Disgraceful. That is the level of rhetoric that's coming from the left and being presented on MSNBC. And okay, so there's a great clip that's going around right now, and it just shows you how like the left is just cannibalizing each other right now, and it's Chunk Uger going off on Alan Lichtman, and they're eating their own right now in this video clip. Watch this.
Don't blame the voters. I think, look, we could get into this discussion, but one, I think you're blaming the voters. I think that's a terrible idea. And look, I debated Professor Lichtman before. I told him his theories about the keys were absurd. I was right. He was wrong. I said he'd lose his keys.
No, you were
Couldn't
not
find
right,
them
and
before
I
the
was
election.
not wrong, and that's a cheap shot, and I won't stand for it.
Well, who won, brother?
You should not be taking cheap shots at me.
Who won?
You want to make your
you
point,
live
make your
in
point.
a total
Don't make
world
it
of denial.
I read.
Okay, listen, I've actually got a better version of that clip, so we don't have to keep cutting through to the vertical shots. Let's go to that instead. Here it is.
I think,
and
don't blame the voters.
To give you some more context, Lichtman apparently had a piece, and he said that the keys of the White House were wrong. Lichtman responds by accusing him of blasphemy. So I guess Lichtman wrote a piece claiming that Biden was going to win or something. So here we go.
Don't blame the voters. I think, look, we could get into this discussion, but one, I think you're blaming the voters. I think that's a terrible idea. And look, I debated Professor Lichtman before. I told him his theories about the keys were absurd. I was right. He was wrong. I said he'd lose his keys.
No, you were
Couldn't
not
find
right,
them
and
before
I
the
was
election.
not wrong, and that's a cheap shot, and I won't stand for it.
Well, who won, brother?
You should not be
who
taking
won?
cheap
who
shots
won?
at me.
Who won?
You want to make your
you
point,
live
make your
in
point.
a total
Don't make
world
it
of denial.
I read your own followers' comments, and they all trashed you, every one of them, and supported me.
Yeah,
so quiet with your personal attacks.
come find out again.
Make whatever point you want. Don't make it personal.
You don't know anything. You don't know anything.
You attacked me personally.
You're so deluded.
Oh, right. I've only been a professor for 51 years.
On this program, I've never been able to finish a thought.
How many books have you published? No, because you're personally attacking me again. Say whatever you want, but I'm not going to stand for personal
brother, you got it wrong.
Say whatever you want.
Preposterously and stupidly wrong. So, okay, all right. Can I just finish a goddamn thought ever on this show?
No, not if you're personally. I admitted I was wrong. I don't need you to call me stupid.
Okay.
Can I just say, it's great to see you Democrats all getting along so well.
Who taught you manners?
It's lovely to see a post-election harmony as you all come together again.
Hey, Alan, right now. Hey, Alan, you deserve a tall glass of shut-up juice, so can you just shut up for a second and let someone who knows what they're doing...
You're so right, Pierce. You're so right. We're so unified right now.
So I will not sit here and stand for personal attacks, for blasphemy against me. You don't need to do that. You don't boost
blasphemy against you? What the hell are you? Are you Jesus Christ, you loser? Okay, can I just give the correct answer for once?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, they are eating their own. And what's funny is that Chunk Uger is now, I saw him talking with Elon on X. He's begging for a job at the Department of Government Efficiency. Yeah, that's where Chunk is. He thinks he can help cut the fat in government. Well, speaking of Elon Musk and X, CNN now admitting that X represents the average ideological makeup of the United States better than it ever did before Elon bought it. Let's listen to this.
Look at so the reason, one of the big reasons he bought Twitter/X is because he wanted to make it his own platform, remake it in his own image. And I think this really gets at it. Look at this. The party ID among those who regularly use X/Twitter for news. Back in 2022, 65% of those who regularly use Twitter/X for news were Democrats. Just 31% were Republicans. Look at where we are today. Just a completely different picture. Now it's basically split between Democrats at 48%, Republicans at 47%. And what I should note, Mr. Berman, is this new overall makeup matches the overall electorate far better. And more than that, John, look at where Mr. Musk's net worth is today versus where it was just 2 months ago. He is the richest man in the world by far. 2 months ago, look at this. His net worth was $252 billion. Look at where we are today, $314 billion. He is by far the richest man ever to be on this planet. So yes, he's not as popular. Yes, Twitter/X perhaps is not as popular, but it's a much different platform, one that more represents Elon Musk's, let's say, political instincts, and he is now a far wealthier man. So the reason...
Okay, so it represents his political instincts, whatever. What the hell does that even mean? But look at those numbers. Democrats in 2022. Now, back then, I never even used X. I never used it. I hated it. I just avoided it. We just had automated systems publishing to X. It was a hive of leftist filth all day long. And you couldn't post anything there without fear of some kind of retribution or your account getting banned. So look at it now. 2024. Democrats at 48% and the GOP at 47%. That's pretty balanced, if you ask me. That's a pretty good makeup. And I like to see those numbers. But when you have 65 to 31, yeah, that's because it was Democrat-controlled. Censorship was the rule of the day. And now Elon Musk has brought it back, and he's now even more wealthy than before. But that doesn't stop the attacks that continue to hit. President Trump wants a hammer at the DOJ, and he sees Matt Gaetz as that hammer. Let's continue looking.
I think the president wants a hammer at the DOJ, and he sees Matt Gaetz as a hammer and all these other appointments. He's very confident in where they're at and can deliver the administration that he's wanting. His picks have been maybe unconventional, but we hired an unconventional president, and the American people wanted that. They don't want politics as usual. They want someone that's going to shake up Washington, D.C., and President Trump proved he could do that in 2016, and we've had great results with the economy that followed. The American people saw what happened underneath the Biden administration, and it went to... I'm going to use good words here. It went to heck in a handbasket. And then we see where the American people said, we're tired of that. We want something different. So the American people want it to be shook up. And the president is maybe using some picks for these positions that's not conventional, but it's what the American people wanted. I think the president wants a hammer.
And Matt Gaetz is going to be that hammer. That's why all these attacks are coming out. That's why The View has to state a retraction. Senator Lindsey Graham, just 6 hours ago, he said this on CNN.
Nobody should be disqualified because of a media report.
It's an investigation. By the department he wants to lead. Bipartisan ethics investigation.
And they didn't proceed forward.
Bingo. Oh, but it's an investigation. Oh, but they didn't proceed forward. Case closed. It's over. But see, they want to keep bringing this stuff up. Real Anna Polina, she says the smear campaign tied to a $25 million extortion scheme against Matt Gaetz and his father. Listen.
Founded, I've been able to get firsthand knowledge from the Department of Justice and FBI once they came out and acquitted Gaetz and actually dropped their investigation into him because they found that all those allegations, as you had just stated, were actually unfounded. I really would appreciate it if networks would cover the fact that this was also tied to a $25 million extortion scheme against Matt Gaetz and his father. And to furthermore, I find it interesting that these actual allegations come out at peculiar timing while he's being nominated to be the Attorney General. To be clear, I do think Matt Gaetz is going to be an incredible Attorney General. I think this baseless smear campaign, frankly, is abhorrent that it's happening to someone like Matt Gaetz, who's done so much to fight the government corruption. And there's a reason why President Trump won not just the popular vote, but also the electorate vote. Frankly, people trust President Trump's judgment more than any news outlet out there. I've been able to
the media is dying. The media is dead. dead in the water. Everybody knows it. They know it. Here's more.
These baseless, and frankly, what I'm finding is these baseless allegations, when people go out there and smear reputations, this happened to Justice Brett Kavanaugh, this happens to a lot of male Republicans or people that are nominated to positions of power. And frankly, as someone who knows Representative Gaetz, you know, when I was first elected to Congress, I think it's incredibly important for women out there to know I was only a few months pregnant. I had a reporter come up to me and ask me how many members of Congress I had had sex with, also alleging that I had a relationship with Matt Gaetz, which was categorically false. But the reason why they did that is because I was standing up against the machine that exists here in Washington, D.C. So be aware that these types of smear campaigns do exist. That's why I've been so adamant about getting the facts out there. And I still back him. Frankly, I think that if the DOJ and the FBI had evidence, they would have prosecuted, because Matt Gaetz is a thorn in their side. But that's exactly why I think it's important for your network, especially, to put the facts out there. And that's why I chose to come on today. And
suck it. I mean, who can ever forget what they did to Brett Kavanaugh? Bringing in Christine Blasey Ford, standing there under oath, making all kinds of wild accusations. And then all these other crazy people started coming forward. They were all proven to be false. What happened to those people? Were they ever held accountable? No, but this is what they do when they fear somebody is going to bring accountability to them. They make up all kinds of stories. Here's more.
You know, you mentioned earlier that this is the same testimony that was, again, dropped by the DOJ and the FBI because these people were not credible. And I will say that for the senators that are coming forward and stating that they need to read this testimony, let's look into these people's stocks portfolios and how they're becoming multimillionaires off of $175,000 a year. The reason why people want outsiders, the reason why people are not buying this Gaetz smear campaign, and that is exactly what it is because of the fact that they understand that there is a two-tier justice system. You know, you mentioned earlier that I do think the DOJ is corrupt. Absolutely. When I find that they're giving special treatment to the Attorney General, that he doesn't have to testify to Congress, yet if any single other American does that, they go to jail, that is absolutely government corruption. But when you're then talking about cabinet picks, you're talking about an ethics investigation. I mean, I'm pretty sure Matt Gaetz has also been investigated for misuse of campaign funds that were also dropped. So the fact is that Matt Gaetz has, again, time and time again, stood up to the swamp. Frankly, I know him as a person. I know his family. And I've been able to be privy to the conversations behind closed doors of members looking forward to this leaked ethics report because they know that it's going to smear him. I'm not going to state who the members are, but what I will state is that that type of behavior, putting this forward to the American people, smearing Matt Gaetz's reputation, and then also undercutting the credibility of President Trump, who, again, the American people trust to lead this nation, I'm not going to play that game. This is the same.
No one's playing that game anymore. We're calling them out, holding them accountable, and we are on the case. Guess who has called for the FBI to end its pernicious relationship with the discredited and likely criminal SPLC? None other than future AG Matt Gaetz. Yes, apparently the Southern Poverty Law Center is making headlines again. Matt Gaetz calling for an investigation into the FBI's reliance on the Southern Poverty Law Center. It's about time. That hate group needs to be shut down. The smear campaigns that they have done against patriots, against moms. In fact, I looked it up and I just did a search for Next News Network and SPLC. I did a quick search and I found that my news channel was on a list between some alpha males and some suburban moms on a hate map. Yeah. But I mean, I've been a target of the SPLC since going back to, say, 2010, when I was featured as Patriot number 9 on their Meet the Patriots hit list. Yeah, so it's about time. Elon Musk says the Southern Poverty Law Center is a criminal organization. Seth Dillon, the discredited, scandal-ridden smear factory known as the SPLC, is about to publish a hit piece doxing several of our not-the-be writers who wish to remain anonymous so they could speak freely without fear. The SPLC extracted sensitive information from our site, then used that information to contact our writers directly. I've included a screenshot of one of these emails. We're determining how they obtained this information, but we already know why they went digging for it. They did it because They're left-wing activists masquerading as journalists. They did it because they lack principles. They did it because they're vindictive bullies who've admitted their aim is to completely destroy individuals and organizations they disagree with by making them pay a steep price for speaking freely. As a public figure, I've been attacked many times. It comes with the territory, and I accept that. What I won't accept is the doxing and smearing of our staff because they said something the SPLC doesn't like. So, I decided that I would respond to Elon Musk's statement there and point out what I just shared with you. And here it is. This is what I said to Elon. See if I can. Here it is. Yeah. That hate group sandwich us between alpha males and suburban moms. And back in 2010, I was listed as Patriot 9 in their Meet the Patriots hit piece. Here it is. There is the Next News Network underneath the NCFM Chicago and the Northern Illinois Moms for America. This is on their hit list. And then this is a picture that they chose to include of me back in 2010. They called me the FEMA Fabulist. That's when I was 32 years old. Gary Franchi is one of the leading promoters of a resurgent patriot conspiracy theory that alleges government is creating concentration camps for U.S. citizens. Well, are they or are they not? What's happening in North Carolina right now? So, the mainstream media, Elon Musk just posted this, just literally lied relentlessly. Scott Jennings, listen to this, what he says. This is a great clip.
The Hitler. I'm amazed. I did not expect Hitler to get so many meeting requests. First from Joe Biden, now from Mika and Joe. It's amazing that literal Hitler is getting all these meeting requests. And what it tells me, Professor, is that all the rhetoric that came from the left, from the Democrats, from the White House, from Kamala Harris and everyone else before the election, all of the rhetoric, the fascism, the Hitler, the Nazi rally, it was all a bunch of BS. They didn't mean any of it. And if I were in the Democrat sort of rabble's shoes, I would be looking at all my leaders and going, did you just BS me for an entire 6 weeks before the election?
I just reread.
And that's why the media is dying. When they go out and they literally call Trump Hitler for weeks on end, saying he is a threat to democracy, and then you got Mika and Joe going down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring. What does that say? When Joe Biden welcomes literally Hitler into the White House and they sit down in the Oval Office and have a chat, I thought this guy was a threat to democracy. How could you ever be colluding with somebody like that? How could you ever? Why would you shake their hand? Because it's all an act. It's all lies, and they continue to feed into their lies and feed it to their base like it's red meat. Actually, not red meat, because their base doesn't eat red meat. They eat artificial meat, vegan meat. Colin Rugg, Anna Navarro starts yelling after Republican communicator Erin Perrine fact checks her on how the Senate confirmation process works. Yeah, Anna Navarro, give me a break. She's another piece of human garbage.
Because you asked if Republican senators do not capitulate on their duty to advise and consent, and they conduct vigorous hearings where they're, these folks are questioned,
the only people that have said
and then they vote their conscience. Right. We shouldn't be having this conversation.
But I can also tell you this. You asked a question about John Thune and whether or not what I believed about John Thune. I'll tell you this.
No, I didn't ask you that. But I've known John Thune for 20 years.
I know John Thune too. I worked for him.
I think he's an institutionalist.
Yes.
And I think he's a good guy. And I hope that he will conduct himself as the new leader of the Senate and be ethical.
This is one thing
he's always been.
MAGA doesn't understand about why John Thune was such a great selection is that he understands how the Senate works. He knows these rules and procedures. He knows what it takes to run the clock on a nomination. Listen, if Democrats want to make it painful and never get home to see their districts or their families, they can run the clock on every nomination. It also eats up floor time in order to get the agenda done. that Donald Trump was elected to do on behalf of the American people. If Democrats want to jam the floor of the United States Senate and ultimately have a fire alarm pulled because they're unwilling to do both of their jobs, which are nominations and not jam up the floor, and they want to run the clock,
throw their hands
or
up in
they
the
go
air.
to the legislative
Listen,
calendar.
Democrats cannot throw their hands up in the air.
Then they run the clock and they stop the American people from getting the agenda they want done. That's exactly what you're saying.
Not even Mitch
Having worked in the United States Senate, I can tell you this. Mitch McConnell, they will run the
May I
clock.
speak? Mitch McConnell, who had polio. I have a hard time thinking that Mitch McConnell, who had polio and knows the benefit of those vaccines and eradicating those diseases that almost wiped out children, would throw his hands up in the air and say, "Oh, it's RFK."
Everyone, let's
Oh
appreciate
man,
it. Thank you.
it feels like it's a bad episode of The View. Holy cow, man. But that's the state of the media today. Spewing lies, smear campaigns, but it's backfiring big time. In this clip right here, it tells you everything you need to know. X is taking over the code. X is taking over the broadcast. Right now, this is being live streamed on X. It's being live streamed on Rumble. It's being live streamed on YouTube. And we're growing fast. We are growing fast on X. Make sure you follow us there. So we're going to continue to follow the lies, and we are going to break it all down. I mean, the fact that they said that Trump's going to order the military to open fire. I mean, these are the lies that are being spread, and it's disgusting. And thankfully, Don Lemon no longer has a place in the mainstream media, and Matt Gaetz is coming for it all. So there you have it, Patriots. The mainstream media's credibility isn't just damaged, it's destroyed. When The View has to issue legal notices, when Morning Joe bends the knee at Mar-a-Lago, when even CNN admits that X reflects America better than they do, you know the tide has turned. And speaking of turning tides, don't forget to check out our exclusive Next News merch at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Link down below. Show the world you're on the right side of history. But here's what I want you to think about, and drop your answers in the comments below. If the media lied about Matt Gaetz, lied about Trump being literally Hitler, and now they're literally kissing the ring at Mar-a-Lago, what else are they lying about right now? What other stories are they burying to protect the deep state? Drop a comment below.